touch base with you and see how things are going and just find out what's going on with you and Kempe and everything that has anything come from the BizPitch. So
yeah. Oh God. Well, it's the BizPitch was incredible. It was. I mean, to be on that platform, right, that stage, I've never been on a stage like that. It was terrifying. I feel like I blacked out when I got up there. I was like, I have no idea how to pitch. But yeah, from that, I actually got a woman in LA who was really interested in sort of coming on board as an advisor. So she's had a lot of experience in manufacturing and LGBT activism. So that's been really great. I've been working a lot with her. And then I sort of got brought to New York to talk to some people who are doing some things there. One is opening a gender-free, not department store, but sort of right in NoHo, so just north of Soho, a gender-free store. So I've been talking with them a bunch and sort of like an outlet to sell the products once we get it made. And so the pitch was really great. I actually did another pitch for Ramba. Do you know Ramba?
No.
So Ramba, it stands for Reaching Out MBA. It's more of a business school.
I have heard of them, yes.
Yeah, and so I did that in October, sort of on the heels of NGLCC, sort of decided to like try to hone my pitch skills, and I ended up winning that one, which was great. So it was nice. And what was really funny about it is that one of the judges from NGLCC was one of the judges at Ramba. And so I walked in, I was like, oh, great. This is not what I need right now. I lost the one in Vegas, and now you're a judge here. But I felt like it was an omen. So I went up to him and I just said, I'd love to get your contact whether I win or lose, because I feel like I've pitched to you twice now. I really feel like you could help with this business. So I met with him. I ended up winning. And then I went to New York about a month later and met with him individually to talk about the business and how to set it up and all this stuff. So yeah, he's just been a really incredible resource.
Fantastic. So we kind of jumped off the deep end and straight into BizPitch. Tell us about what Kempe is and what are you trying to do?
Yeah. So Kempe is gender-free athletic wear. We're starting off with 4 undergarments. Our goal is to really redesign and relabel and really take labeling out of it. So the idea behind it is we're starting off with the 4 most common undergarments that people end up buying. So traditional sports bras, compression shorts, padded garments, and then sort of a compression binder. All 4 products have been researched with demographics specifically needing them. But what we have found in our research is that all of these products sort of cross over different demographics. And through that research, we've realized, well, we can really just take labeling out of this altogether. So, someone who buys a sports bra may not identify as female, or someone who buys a compression garment may not identify as trans. And so it's just been a really cool space. We've been focusing largely on youth, so 21 and under. And it's so inspiring to see what youth think of as the future of gender, right? And the future of labeling and categorizing and all that stuff. It's very liberating. So, Kempe is at its core athletic wear. And we're going to start with these 4 pieces. And we're looking to have them made over the summer and launch it next winter. And we're probably moving to LA or New York to start making them. So that's exciting. Unfortunately, Chicago just doesn't have the garment industry.
Yeah, you need LA or New York for that. So Tell me about, what are you researching as far as fabrics for this? What are you finding is important there?
Yeah, that's also, so I love research. I went to grad school for industrial design or object design. And part of the thing that I do consulting wise is look at trends and sort of mostly focusing on tech companies. But what's really great about doing research is that you find out what people like and don't like, but from a much more informed space. So we've really found out that so many of the compression garments out there, it's fine if you're wearing them for an hour or 2, but if you're wearing a compression garment for 12 hours, you're talking about, you really need a fabric that does a lot more than just compresses. You need a fabric that wicks away sweat. You need a fabric that is going to take out any sort of bacteria. You need a fabric that really holds its shape, but is also ultra soft. So it's been really fun. We're working with looking at sort of technical. It's like knitwear. It's knitwear in the sense that the machines that make it you're knitting it, which is a very weird, but it's still athletic wear. It's very interesting. It's a lot like we're sort of looking at a lot of what Nike does and Adidas. They come up with, just because they have the research and development, they come up with some incredible uses for materials. So we're not going to use the same material, but we're going to try to sort of see what they're doing that's been successful. Yeah.
So what was your inspiration behind doing this? Why you get into this industry? What was the need that you found?
So, it's funny. I actually, the need has been both sort of, there's a business element and then a very personal element. So I did my graduate thesis on transgender prosthetics, sort of looking for a more empowering way of creating garments for people who were in transition. And that ended up winning Best in Show. I went on to talk with Children's Hospital and then did some research focus groups with trans youth. And they all kind of unanimously said that they didn't want products specifically for trans people. They wanted products that were just made for people. And so it became a much larger company very quickly. And then we started doing research with people who didn't identify as trans and realizing that they were really unhappy with their undergarments as well. So through this whole process, it was like, wow, there's this light bulb moment, there's this need, there's a market gap, and then there's sort of this cultural shift that young people are moving away from labeling to a more inclusive society. And even with the Super Bowl last night, Coca-Cola had a commercial where they used they and them pronouns, which was the first time I've ever seen a major company do that. And so it's not only it's not just a trend, it's becoming a way of life. And then through this whole process, I had to kind of confront my own gender stuff. So I took a little bit of a year off to deal with that. I actually came out to my parents 3 days before the NGLCC conference. So I said, I feel like I should tell you first before I get on stage in front of 1,100 people.
Before I get on stage, Mom, I kind of did the same thing when I bought the magazine. I'm like, I'm gay, right? And they're like, yeah, well, I'm about to become really gay.
I love that. Yeah, and unapologetically so. Both my parents are very, they've had their own struggles in life and they've had to deal with their own stuff, and they just want me to be unapologetically myself and respectful. And so they've been so supportive. And then, it's been good. I think, it's funny. My work found me. I always knew I was sort of creating a world in which, myself before I, became terrified to be myself could live in. And now I've sort of found that this sort of the courage to come out through it. So it's been really great. So
that's an amazing coming out story.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Mom and Dad, watch this.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so funny. I remember talking to Megan, who won NGLCC, and we were looking at each other's clothes at backstage, and I was like, I love your outfit. And she was like, I love your outfit. And we were talking about this sort of gender-free space. And she was like, are you trans? And I said, yeah, I identify as trans now. And she said, when did you come out? And I said, 3 days ago. And she said, okay. So it's been, and it's funny because the coming out process is so different it's not so different, but the trans community is so varied. And the fact that it's part of this larger LGBTQ umbrella, it's really an incredible space. I'm more excited now than I ever have been to be in that umbrella, So it's been exciting.
Why do you think that there's such an appeal for your product in the under 21 market?
Oh God. And I love this question. So, I think it's really, I think one of the biggest trends for youth is they are tired of just being labeled and categorized, right? They've seen older generations go through that process. It's really an insult now to tell somebody who is of a certain age that they are X, Y, and Z. And they are using their money to kind of lead that charge, right? They have this incredible purchasing power collectively, and they're really forcing companies to change. And I think, you see, one of the most exciting things is to see how commerce can really push forward social change in a really progressive way. I mean, again, Coca-Cola, you have Apple, Google, Starbucks. There's these major companies, which is what I love about NGLCC, is that they see that there are people doing things differently. They're using their money to promote that cause, and they're causing social change. And young people just refuse to be labeled now. It's really exciting. So
yeah, it is. So what was like the biggest challenge for you in creating a company?
Oh gosh. Specifically this company, it was my gender identity. I really did not want to go back to it. When I told my parents that I was trans, my mother's first comment was, okay, this makes so much more sense than being gay. Like, that whole gay thing was a red herring for a couple of years. And so now it makes more sense. Which, as a trans person, not. Yeah, it was so validating and comforting. And my mother had on her like big sun hat and her glasses while she said it. So it felt very, felt very cinematic when she said it that way. But it really has been myself. I mean, I think I've been my own. This company is so personal, and it's a way of life that it's sort of the way that I would want to have grown up in. If I had been 5 years old and grown up in a world where people weren't telling me that I was, that I wasn't a girl, or that I wasn't able to be who I was or dress the way that I wanted to, I feel like I would have just been my life would have been different. I'm not saying better necessarily, because I'm so happy with where I'm at now, but starting this company, because it is so personal, I've definitely been the biggest challenge. Other than that, I think asking for help, because I'm a designer and a sort of design research consultant. So I really enjoy talking to people, researching what they need, what's changing with the world from a cultural and technology perspective. Business is just a totally other, and it's another beast. And so asking people for help has been really the hardest lesson for me to learn.
Well, that's a perfect tee up for the last question. Where do you need help? What's you've got your business consultants, you have a little bit of investment. What's next? What do you need help with? How does this community reach out to you and say, where we want to help you, we want to invest in you, we want to buy product? What do you need?
Yeah, so the two big things that we're focusing on now that are not my strengths are manufacturing. So we're going to start putting together the final prototypes and then getting the product on bodies so that we can make sure it's absolutely perfect before we put it out there. And, perfect being a relative term. And then, so I think I've been lucky enough to connect with some people in the fashion world. That was one of the biggest needs. We figured that out. And now I think the biggest need is social media, consulting, strategy, and working with a really great website developer to kind of get the website up to par. The coming out process for me was I turned inward a lot for the past year. And then I realized that the brand needs to be promoted. No one can buy something they don't know about. So that's really the biggest need we have now, is getting the word out there, getting this to be part of a larger movement of celebration of sort of individual identity, and sort of having the word Kemp be synonymous with that empowerment and encouragement, So that's sort of, I would say, our biggest need is anything marketing, promotion, social world. I'm awful at it. So.
Well, you have such a great story, and we're so happy to have spent this time with you this morning. So I really appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time, and the best of luck in the future for you.
Thanks, Russ. I really appreciate it. This was awesome.